Look at this footage. March 8, 2024, 5:43 a.m. FBI agents surrounding a lakeside cabin in Whitefish, Montana.
You see that man in the doorway? Gray hair, reading glasses, looks like someone's grandfather?
His name is Nathan Pierce, and he's been living here free for 19 years.
19 years since he made his entire family disappear.
Wife, 3 children, gone on Halloween night 2005.
But here's what's going to shock you, and I need you to stay with us because this gets disturbing.
When the FBI finally found them, they weren't just buried.
They were designed, engineered, built into a structure Nathan created with his own hands.
And his children, they helped him build it, thinking it was a family project.
They were building their own tomb.
Now watch what happens when agents ask him to come out. He opens the door and says,
I wondered when you'd find me. Would you like coffee?
Stay with us, because what you're about to hear in that interrogation room,
It's going to change how you think about evil.
this is the story of a man who planned a murder for an entire year,
Who saw his 6-year-old daughter not as a child, but as a problem to solve.
and who even today, sitting in prison,
Is still proud of what he did.
this is the architect's design.
And trust us, you need to hear this whole story.
All right, let me take you back to where this nightmare started. I want you to picture this with me. Boise, Idaho, October 31st, 2005, Halloween night. You know the scene. Kids in costumes, porch lights on, that autumn chill in the air. Now focus on one house, 2156 Riverside Drive in Boise's North End neighborhood. Beautiful area, historic homes, the kind of street where everyone knows everyone. The Pierce family lived there, and from the outside, picture perfect. Nathan Pierce, 38 years old, licensed architect, respected, successful, worked for one of Boise's top firms, Morrison and Associates. His wife, Caroline Pierce, 36, high school English teacher. Her students loved her, called her Mrs. P. 3 children, and I need you to remember their names. Olivia, 12 years old, Jacob, 9 years old, Sophie, 6 years old. October 31st, 2005. The kids go trick-or-treating. Neighbors see them on the street. Olivia dressed as a witch, Jacob as Spider-Man, little Sophie as a princess with a plastic tiara. Normal Halloween night, right? Stay with me. By 8:30 p.m., they're home. Lights on at the Pierce house. Everything seems fine. But here's where it gets eerie. By November 2nd, just 3 days later, all 5 of them are gone, vanished.
I saw Caroline that afternoon, October 31st. She was putting up Halloween decorations, those little ghost streamers, you know? Sophie was helping her, standing on a step stool trying to reach. Caroline waved to me. She said, "See you tomorrow, Margaret," all cheerful like always. But there was no tomorrow. Not for her, not for those babies. I think about that moment every Halloween, her waving, not knowing it was the last time.
So November 2nd arrives. Nathan's office calls police for a welfare check. He hasn't shown up for work, hasn't called, hasn't answered his phone. For Nathan Pierce, Mr. Punctual, Mr. Never Late, that's alarming. Police arrive at the Riverside Drive house, and I want you to imagine what they're seeing. Both cars in the driveway, mail piling up in the box, newspapers on the lawn, house locked up tight. They knock, no answer. They look in windows, nothing seems disturbed. They get a warrant, go inside. And here's what makes this case so bizarre from the start. Are you ready for this? Nothing is wrong. I don't mean nothing is there. I mean nothing looks wrong. The beds are made, dishes washed and put away in the cabinets. Sophie's Halloween candy, her trick-or-treat haul sitting in a bowl on the kitchen counter. The kids' school backpacks hanging on hooks by the door, ready for Monday morning that never came. It's like the family just evaporated into thin air.
30 years I worked homicide and missing persons. 30 years. I'd seen crime scenes, messy ones, violent ones, desperate ones. But the Pierce house, it was perfect. And that's what bothered me. You know how when you leave your house in a hurry, there's always something, dishes in the sink, unmade bed, toys on the floor, normal lived-in disorder? This house had none of that. It was staged, cleaned, presented, and I remember standing in that kitchen thinking, someone wanted us to see this. Someone wanted this to look a specific way. I knew right then something terrible had happened. I just couldn't prove it yet.
So the investigation explodes. FBI gets involved. Amber Alert for 3 missing children. This hits national news. You might even remember hearing about it back in 2005. Tips flood in. Search parties comb the Boise River, the foothills, surrounding counties, cadaver dogs, helicopters, volunteers, hundreds of people looking. They find nothing. No bodies, no blood evidence, no witnesses who saw anything unusual. Theories start flying, and I want you to think about what you would have assumed. Family abduction? Cult involvement? This was 2005, remember. People were still paranoid about cult activity. Witness protection relocation? Murder-suicide where Nathan killed them all, then himself somewhere else? But here's the problem. There's no evidence for any of it, and that's when Caroline's family starts speaking up.
Caroline called me every Sunday, every single Sunday since we were teenagers. It was our thing. Sunday afternoon, we'd talk for an hour. About everything, about nothing. When she didn't call that first Sunday in November, I knew something was wrong. I knew it. I called the house, no answer. I called Nathan's cell. He picked up and said, "Caroline's busy right now." Just like that, flat, no emotion. I said, "Nathan, she always calls me on Sundays. What's going on?" He said, "Linda, your sister is an adult who makes her own choices. She'll call you when she wants to." And he hung up on me. That was November 5th. 3 days before he was even reported missing. He already knew they were gone. He knew.
Now I want you to pay attention to this part because it becomes crucial later. When police interview Nathan's colleagues, his neighbors, Caroline's friends, everyone says the same thing about Nathan. Cold, controlling, obsessed with perfection, but not violent. Nobody ever saw him raise his voice, let alone a hand. He was just off, emotionally flat, like something was missing inside him. And here's what's going to haunt you. Stay with me on this. Caroline had told her sister Linda that she was planning to leave Nathan. She'd consulted a divorce attorney. In September 2005, 6 weeks before she disappeared, she told Linda, "I can't live like this anymore. Everything has to be exactly his way. The kids are starting to act like they're afraid to make mistakes around him." But she never filed those papers because 6 weeks later, she was dead. We just didn't know it yet.
When Linda Morrison told me about the divorce plans, my gut screamed he did it. But I had nothing. No body, no crime scene, no evidence. Nathan had an alibi. He was at work, at meetings, having coffee with colleagues. 47 people could place him at the university during the days the family disappeared. And without bodies, without proof of death, I couldn't arrest him for anything. So I watched him for months, hoping he'd slip up, make a mistake. He never did, because he'd already made his mistake, and it would take 19 years to find it.
So the case goes cold. Years pass. The story fades from the news. The house on Riverside Drive sits empty. Nobody wants to buy the place where a whole family vanished. Finally, in 2009, the bank forecloses and sells it at auction. A young couple buys it. They live there for 12 years. Normal life, no problems, no ghosts. Until 2021. They decide to put in a pool. It's a big backyard, nice property, why not? The excavation crew starts digging, and at 8 feet down, way deeper than you'd normally dig for a pool, they hit something. Listen to what happened next, because this is where everything changes.
We thought we hit bedrock at first, but bedrock doesn't make a hollow sound when you tap it. This was concrete, a massive concrete structure buried 8 feet down. I called the homeowners. They had no idea what it was. Not on any property plans, not on the original house blueprints. So we brought in ground-penetrating radar, and what we saw, it was a chamber, 10 feet by 12 feet, 8 feet underground, sealed completely. And the radar was picking up density variations, things inside. We called the police immediately, because we all knew you don't build something like that and bury it unless you're hiding something terrible.
Now I need you to imagine what happens next. Police arrive, forensic teams, FBI gets called back in, same agents who worked the original case in 2005. They carefully excavate around the structure, and what they find is going to make your skin crawl. This isn't some hastily dug hole covered with dirt. This is engineered. Reinforced concrete walls, 8 inches thick, moisture barriers, ventilation shafts, deliberately sealed. This was built to last, built to preserve. It takes them 2 days to carefully break through the concrete without disturbing what's inside. And when they finally open it, the smell hits them first. 19 years of decay in a sealed environment. Then they see 4 bodies, adult female, 3 children, 2 girls, 1 boy. Preserved because the chamber was airtight, mummified essentially. DNA testing confirms Caroline, Olivia, Jacob, and Sophie Pierce.
I'm going to take over here because what they found with the bodies is crucial, and I need you to stay understanding how calculated this was. Inside that chamber, in a waterproof tube, there were blueprints. Professional architectural blueprints, detailed, precise. Signed N. Pierce, licensed architect, State of Idaho. Dated March 2005. The project label? Garden Storage Chamber.
When we found those blueprints, we knew we had our killer, but we had to verify everything. We pulled the original property records from 2005, and there it was. Nathan Pierce had filed for a building permit in March 2005 for a garden storage structure. The city approved it, an inspector came out, verified the foundation met code, signed off on it. Nobody questioned why a storage shed needed an 8-foot-deep reinforced concrete foundation. Nathan had hidden this in plain sight, used regal permits, passed inspections, built his family's tomb with official city approval. That's the level of planning we were dealing with.
So now we know Nathan Pierce murdered his family and buried them in his own backyard. But where is Nathan? Remember, he vanished too, the same time as his family. So the question becomes, was he a victim or did he run? The FBI reopens every aspect of the original investigation, and patterns start emerging, patterns they missed in 2005. Financial records show that Nathan withdrew $74,000 in cash over 2 weeks in October 2005. Small amounts, different banks, just under the $10,000 reporting threshold. He was building a nest egg, untraceable cash. Then they find something else. In August 2005, Nathan had taken a vacation alone, told Caroline who needed a few days to clear his head, went to Montana. Except he wasn't vacationing, he was buying property. The FBI starts searching property records across surrounding states, looking for any connection to Nathan Pierce. And in Whitefish, Montana, a small town near the Canadian border, they find it. A cabin on Whitefish Lake, purchased in September 2005 for $180,000 cash by a Michael Parsons. No mortgage, no credit check, cash sale. They pull the purchase documents. The signature looks similar to Nathan's handwriting, but it's not exact. He'd practiced writing differently. The address listed for Michael Parsons? A UPS store mailbox in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. They dig deeper. Michael Parsons has a social security number, fake but good enough to pass casual verification, tax returns filed every year since 2006, a Montana driver's license, no credit history before 2005. It's a ghost identity, and Nathan Pierce has been living as Michael Parsons for 19 years.
Building a new identity isn't as hard as people think, especially if you do it before anyone's looking for you. Nathan created Michael Parsons while he was still Nathan Pierce, missing person. No one was searching for him as a fugitive until we found the bodies. He'd been careful, paid cash for the cabin, lived simply, did small architectural drafting jobs for local contractors, always freelance, always cash or check, nothing that required deep background verification. He'd built himself a quiet, solitary life in Montana, and he thought he'd gotten away with it.
Years. March 7, 2024, FBI Fugitive Task Force gets authorization for a raid on the Whitefish cabin. They plan it for dawn, standard protocol, catch the subject when they're least prepared. March 8, 5:43 a.m., FBI vehicles surround the property. And I want you to imagine this moment with me. You're an agent approaching this cabin. You know this man killed his entire family 19 years ago. You have no idea if he's armed, if he's dangerous, if he'll try to run. Your heart is pounding, adrenaline spiking, weapon drawn. You call out, "Nathan Pierce, FBI, come out with your hands up." The cabin door opens, and out walks a gray-haired man in flannel and jeans, reading glasses perched on his nose. Looks like someone's grandfather. He's not armed, doesn't run, just stands there, calm. And then he says it, the line that still gives investigators nightmares. "I wondered when you'd find me. Would you like coffee? I just made a fresh pot."
Most fugitives, when we catch them after years on the run, they react in one of a few ways. They panic, they fight, they break down crying, or they try to negotiate. Nathan Pierce offered us coffee. He walked us into his cabin. We had to clear it first, obviously, make sure no one else was there, and he pointed to a fresh pot on the counter. He said, "I assumed this day would come eventually. I've kept the cabin clean. You won't find anything troubling." Like we were doing a safety inspection, like he hadn't murdered 4 people. They arrest him, read him his rights. He waives his right to an attorney immediately, says, "I don't need a lawyer. I'll explain everything." And he does, in terrifying detail. But before we get to that interrogation, and trust me, you need to hear what he says, let me show you what the FBI found inside that Montana cabin, because it reveals exactly who Nathan Pierce really is. Inside the cabin, a complete drafting studio, professional equipment, drawing tables, architectural tools, hundreds of drawings and plans, buildings, structures, bridges, all signed M. Parsons. Tax returns going back to 2006, meticulously filed. No photos, not one single photograph of people, just landscape shots he'd taken of the lake. Journals, dozens of journals where Nathan documented his life as Michael Parsons. And here's what made the FBI's blood run cold. In those journals, he wrote about his family, not with guilt, not with remorse, with clinical detachment. I'm going to read you an entry from 2015, 10 years after the murders. Listen to this. Anniversary of project completion today. 10 years since optimal solution was implemented. Structure should still be intact based on materials used and environmental conditions. I wonder if anyone will ever find them. Part of me hopes they do, eventually. The engineering was exceptional. It deserves to be studied. He calls murdering his family project completion. He's proud of his work. And it gets worse. Another entry from 2023, just last year, saw a news story about family disappearances in Idaho. They still don't solve the organized ones. Police look for emotion, rage, panic, mistakes. They don't look for architecture. They don't see design. This is why I succeeded. He's not hiding from what he did. He's savoring it.
I knew Michael, that's what we called him, for almost 15 years. Quiet guy. Polite. Kept to himself, mostly. He designed an addition for my cabin in 2017. Beautiful work. Precise. Thoughtful. The kind of blueprints that look like art. I asked him once if he had family. And he said, I used to. They're gone now.
All right, we're going to the interrogation room now, and I need you to stay with us through this, because what Nathan Pierce says is going to disturb you, but you need to hear it. You need to understand how someone can do what he did. March 9th, 2024, Boise FBI Field Office, Interview Room 3. Nathan Pierce sits across from Agent Vicente and Detective Holland, who's come out of retirement specifically for this. No lawyer present. Nathan waived his rights. He wants to talk. Watch this footage with us.
Nathan, do you know why you're here?
You found the preservation chamber and the remains inside it.
You killed your wife and 3 children.
I relocated them to a permanent solution for an unsustainable domestic situation.
You mean you murdered them?
If you prefer that terminology. The outcome is the same regardless of word choice.
Why?
Are you familiar with structural engineering principles, load-bearing capacity?
Pretend we're not.
Every structure, buildings, bridges, families, has a maximum load it can bear before failure occurs. My domestic structure had exceeded its capacity. Caroline wanted a divorce. She'd consulted an attorney in September 2005. The financial implications would have been catastrophic. Loss of the house, half my assets, child support for 3 minors until age 18. Running the calculations, divorce would have cost me approximately $680,000 over time, destroyed my professional reputation, and created ongoing chaos for at least 9 years until Sophie turned 18. I needed a more efficient solution.
Stop. Rewind that. Did you catch what he just said? He calculated the cost of his children's lives, put a dollar amount on keeping them alive versus killing them. And in his mind, murder was more cost-effective. This is who we're dealing with. Let's continue.
I designed a solution that would eliminate the variables causing instability in my life structure.
The variables being your wife and children.
Correct.
How did you do it? Walk us through October 31st.
Would you like the full technical explanation or a summary?
Full explanation.
The preservation chamber took 4 months to construct. I began in June 2005, filed proper permits for a garden storage structure, which was technically accurate. It was underground storage. City inspector approved the foundation in July. I completed construction by October, using standard architectural concrete, 4,000 psi compressive strength, rebar reinforcement, and moisture barriers to prevent groundwater intrusion. Caroline thought I was building her a pottery studio. She was pleased. The children helped me mix concrete on weekends. Family bonding, Caroline called it.
Can you imagine those children? Olivia, 12 years old, Jacob, 9, Sophie, 6. They spent their weekends helping their father build the concrete chamber that would become their grave. They probably thought it was fun, special time with Dad. And Nathan, he was calculating load-bearing weights and suffocation timelines.
October 31st, Halloween. The children went trick-or-treating with neighborhood friends. Caroline accompanied them. They returned at approximately 8:35 p.m. I'd prepared hot chocolate, a treat. They'd been outside in the cold. Caroline thought I was being thoughtful. I'd been emotionally distant for months, so she was pleased by the gesture. I'd mixed sedatives into the cocoa, prescription sleep medication, midazolam. I'd accumulated it over 6 months, taking my own prescriptions and Caroline's anxiety medication. She'd stopped taking it, so she didn't notice it was missing. Dosage calculations were precise, based on body weight. Olivia, 92 pounds, 12 milligrams. Jacob, 68 pounds, 9 milligrams. Sophie, 44 pounds, 6 milligrams. Caroline, 128 pounds, 15 milligrams. They consumed the hot chocolate at 8:47 p.m. Effects manifested within 18 to 22 minutes.
They lost consciousness?
Olivia first, then Jacob, then Sophie. Caroline lasted longest. She had higher body mass and possibly tolerance from previous medication use. By 9:15 p.m., all four were unconscious.
What you're hearing is a complete absence of empathy. Nathan describes sedating his children the way you or I would describe following a recipe. He's not suppressing emotion. He genuinely doesn't have it. When he talks about calculating dosages based on his children's weights, he's not seeing Olivia, Jacob, and Sophie. He's seeing 92 pounds, 68 pounds, 44 pounds. They're numbers, data points, not people he loved, not his babies, just variables in an equation he needed to solve.
The interrogation continues, and this next part, I need you to prepare yourself, because this is where it gets truly horrifying.
I carried each of them to the chamber. Started with Sophie, lightest weight, easiest to transport. Then Jacob, then Olivia. Caroline began regaining consciousness as I was carrying Olivia. She saw me descending into the chamber. She understood what was happening.
What did she say?
She said, "Nathan, what are you doing?" I explained that I was implementing the solution we'd discussed, meaning divorce, but my version of it. She tried to stand, couldn't. The sedative was still in her system. She crawled toward the basement stairs, said, "Please, not the kids. Please don't hurt our babies." I assured her they wouldn't suffer. The sedative would keep them unconscious through the entire process.
And then?
I carried Caroline to the chamber. She was crying, asking why. I explained the financial calculations. She didn't seem to understand the logic. I placed her with the children, sealed the chamber entrance with the prefabricated concrete cap I'd constructed. It fit precisely. I'd measured carefully.
He suffocated his family in a concrete box in his backyard, and he's describing it like he's explaining how he built a deck. No emotion, no remorse, just technical specifications.
After sealing the chamber entrance, I returned to the house, cleaned every surface, bleach solution, then ammonia solution, then neutralizing agent. I wanted to remove any potential evidence. I staged the house to appear as if the family had simply left, made the beds, put away dishes, left Sophie's Halloween candy on the counter. Small detail, but it suggested normalcy. At 3:17 a.m. on November 1st, I loaded my pre-packed bags into Caroline's USV, drove to Montana, arrived at the cabin I'd purchased in September, became Michael Parsons. The whole operation took approximately 8 hours from initial sedation to arrival in Montana. The chamber volume was 960 square feet. With 4 occupants, oxygen would last approximately 3 to 4 hours. But given the sedative levels, they would likely experience respiratory depression and suffocate before full oxygen depletion.
You planned this for months.
14 months, actually. I began preliminary planning in August 2004 when Caroline first mentioned dissatisfaction with our marriage. By June 2005, I'd finalized the design and begun construction.
14 months, more than a year of planning, while tucking his kids into bed, while having dinner with his wife, while attending parent-teacher conferences. He was designing their murders. Now here's where Agent Vicente does something brilliant. Watch this trap she sets.
Nathan, you're clearly intelligent, methodical. You planned this perfectly.
Thank you. I take pride in thorough preparation.
But you didn't plan for you to leave the blueprints in the chamber.
Legacy documentation. If the chamber was discovered centuries from now, I wanted archaeologists or investigators to understand the engineering principles involved. The precision of the work deserved recognition.
But we didn't tell the media what we found in the chamber. That information is confidential.
You showed me photographs.
I showed you photos of the excavation site and the remains. I never mentioned blueprints, never showed you documentation.
I assumed standard investigative procedure would include documentation of
You're too smart to assume, Nathan. You knew we found blueprints because you're the only person who knew they were there. You just
And there it is, the moment Nathan Pierce's perfect plan crumbled. His pride, his need to be recognized for his brilliant design, led him to reveal information only the killer could know. He could have stayed quiet, could have argued reasonable doubt, could have claimed someone else did this and framed him, but he couldn't help himself. He needed people to understand how smart he was, and that need destroyed him.
We had DNA. We had the burial site. We had circumstantial evidence placing Nathan at the scene. But defense attorneys are good. They could have argued contamination, planted evidence, alternative suspects. Nathan gave us something better than physical evidence. He gave us a confession, with details only the killer would know. The blueprints, the sedative dosages, the timeline, the concrete specifications. He couldn't resist showing us how smart he was, and that's what convicted him.
The interrogation lasts 11 hours. Nathan answers every question, explains every detail. Agent Vicente asks him one final question. Do you feel any remorse for what you did? And Nathan's answer, stay with me here, his answer is this: remorse is an evolutionary mechanism to prevent repeated social transgressions. Since I don't intend to repeat this action, remorse would serve no functional purpose. So no, I don't feel remorse. He doesn't see what he did as wrong, just as complete, finished, solved.
When they told me he'd confessed, I thought maybe he'd show some humanity. Maybe he'd say he was sorry, that he'd been sick, that he wished he could take it back. But no, he explained it like he was presenting an architecture project to clients. My sister begged for her children's lives. She begged him, and he put her in a concrete box and listened to her suffocate. And he feels nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's not a human being. That's a monster who learned to look like a human.
The trial begins in October 2024, almost exactly 19 years after the murders.
Nathan's defense team tries to argue diminished capacity, mental illness. They bring in psychiatrists to testify he couldn't understand right from wrong.
But Nathan sabotages his own defense. He insists on testifying, against his lawyer's advice.
Because he wants the jury and the world to understand his design process.
He takes the stand, and for 3 days he explains exactly what he did and why.
The prosecution barely has to cross-examine him. He's convicting himself with every answer.
Listening to him testify was the most disturbing experience of my life. He talked about murdering his 6-year-old daughter the way you'd talk about solving a math problem. At one point, the prosecutor asked him, "Did Sophie wake up before she died?" And he said, "Briefly, for approximately 45 seconds. She called for her mother. Then the sedative and oxygen deprivation took effect." He timed how long his daughter cried for her mother before she died, and he reported it like a lab result. We all knew right then this man could never be free again.
The jury deliberates for 3 hours and 22 minutes.
Guilty on all 4 counts of first-degree murder.
Sentencing hearing is 2 weeks later. The courtroom is packed.
Family members give victim impact statements. Caroline's mother, Linda Morrison, former students of Caroline's, parents of the kids' classmates.
The judge asks Nathan if he has anything to say before sentencing.
And Nathan stands, adjusts his glasses, straightens his tie,
and says this:
I want to clarify something for the court. My actions were not irrational. They were the result of careful analysis and planning. The chamber design was flawless. It remained structurally sound for 19 years. That's a testament to proper engineering. I understand that society values emotional bonds and familial relationships. I recognize that my lack of emotional response is atypical. However, from a purely logical standpoint, my solution eliminated significant financial and psychological stress. It allowed me to continue productive work without the chaos of divorce proceedings and custody battles. If I could revise the plan, I would improve the waterproofing slightly. There was minor groundwater intrusion that affected preservation quality. But overall, the project was successful. I realize this court will impose punishment. I accept that as a consequence of societal norms I don't share but must acknowledge. However, I want it on record that I don't believe I did anything morally wrong. I solved a problem efficiently. That's all.
The courtroom erupts. The judge has to call for order multiple times.
Linda Morrison stands up and screams, "They were children. They were babies. They trusted you."
Nathan just looks at her, confused, like he genuinely doesn't understand why she's upset.
The judge sentences him to 4 consecutive life sentences without possibility of parole.
As they're leading him out, a reporter shouts, "Do you regret what you did?"
Nathan stops, turns, and says, "Regret is illogical. The past cannot be changed. Moving forward is more efficient than dwelling on completed actions."
Then he's gone, taken to Idaho State Correctional Institution,
where he'll spend the rest of his life.
People ask me if I feel vindicated, if I feel like justice was served. Honestly, I feel empty. Yes, Nathan's in prison. Yes, the families have answers, but 4 people are still dead. Olivia would be 31 now. Jacob would be 28. Sophie would be 25. Caroline would be 55. All that life, all that potential, gone. And Nathan, he's in his cell right now, probably drawing blueprints for buildings that'll never be built, still convinced he did nothing wrong. That's what haunts me. Not that he killed them, but that he still doesn't understand why it was wrong. How do you fight evil that doesn't know it's evil?
The house at 2156 Riverside Drive was demolished in 2022.
The property is now a memorial garden. 3 benches, 4 trees, 1 for each victim.
A plaque reads, "In memory of Caroline, Olivia, Jacob, and Sophie. Loved and never forgotten."
Linda Morrison tends the garden every week, plants flowers, pulls weeds.
I come here every Sunday. Same day Caroline and I used to have our phone calls. I talk to them, tell them what's happening in the world they should have gotten to see. Olivia wanted to be a writer. She'd probably have published 3 novels by now. Jacob loved baseball. I imagine him coaching Little League somewhere, being the dad he never got to become. And Sophie, my sweet Sophie, she wanted to save animals, be a veterinarian like her mother wanted to be before she became a teacher. She'd be 25 now, maybe married, maybe making me a great aunt. But Nathan took all of that. Every birthday, every graduation, every moment of life they deserved. And you know what makes me angriest? He doesn't even understand what he stole. To him, they were problems he solved, obstacles he removed. But they were people. They were my family. They were loved. And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure the world remembers them as people, not as Nathan Pierce's variables, not as victims in his project, as Caroline, Olivia, Jacob, Sophie. They had names, they had dreams, they had futures, and they deserved better than being murdered by someone who saw them as nothing more than numbers in an equation.
4 lives.
19 years of freedom for their killer.
One architect who built the perfect crime.
Until his pride destroyed him.
Nathan Pierce is 61 years old now. He'll die in prison.
But even in prison, he hasn't changed. Guards report he spends his days drawing, designing, calculating.
Last year, during a routine cell inspection, they found over 200 architectural sketches.
One was labeled Theoretical Underground Preservation Facility, Revised Design, Improved Waterproofing.
He's still designing tombs, still convinced he did nothing wrong, still believing murder was just architecture.
This was the architect's design.
Thank you for staying with us through this difficult story.
Remember Caroline, remember Olivia, remember Jacob, remember Sophie.
They were not problems to be solved. They were people who deserved to live.
If you or someone you know is in a dangerous domestic situation, please reach out.
National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233.
You are not alone.
And you are not a problem to be solved. You are a person who deserves safety, respect, and life.